Title belts to Hall of Fame. Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Podcast kings ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling raising the stage.
Hey everybody, welcome back once again to Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich. I'm your host, Gene Jackson, and wait a minute, Tommy.
We missing one. We missing one.
Wait a minute. Well, Dougie, as you call him, I don't know if I'm allowed to call him that yet, but Doug has tagged out, man. He is in Alaska.
He's a hideaway. He's on one of them Alaskan cruises, man.
Wow. Good for him, man. What a fun trip that must be. And of course, you know, you're always at the beach. So man, I'm jealous of you guys. You guys are living it up. Memphis Mafia always does it right, don't they?
Last year, about the same time, me and my wife Terry Lynn, we was on our way with Chad Adams and his wife Vicky going to Alaska ourselves, man. And,
nice.
Hey, I told Dougie, because Dougie ain't one to get out and about like that. I told him, man, you'll love it. We had a great time. It was really fun.
I'm hoping me and my wife can do that someday. I've heard nothing but good things about those. And I'm not one for hot weather. So I think if I'm going to do a cruise, I think I'd rather do the Alaskan cruise than, go down to the Jamaica.
Because you see all the pretty weather anyway. So, but that's just the glaciers and just all all the stuff you get to see. We went ATV riding and just we had a great time. So I know Dougie will too.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm happy for them. They deserve a vacation. And we told Doug that, hey, you guys go. In the past, Doug's went on trips and he's tried to get on at the hotel and do interviews and stuff. And was like, man, don't mess with that. You guys go have fun. Me and Tommy's got this. And we do. We've got a fun topic. But before we get there, we got a couple other fun things we're going to talk about, Tommy, because next weekend, you're going to be in Illinois on Friday, June the 6th. You're going to be in Shawneetown at the Cold Days, and you're going to be in a street fight. Looks like you're going to be taking on Attila Khan in a street fight. What's this guy got to look forward to, Tommy?
He going to look forward to a good old country ass whooping. That's a street fight, man. I ain't been in one many moons, but Georgia street fight, Tennessee street fight, that's what I grew up doing anyway. So I'm excited about that. But like I said, it's been many years, but I'm ready to roll.
Hey, he better be ready. Somebody better tell him you were just up in Philadelphia at the ECW Arena street fighting all around that building with Shane Douglas and the Pitbulls. So you're fired up and ready to go. You ain't scared of Attila Khan.
Chairs ain't nothing new to me, man.
That's right. And then the next day, you're heading to Fireman's Hall, Collinsville, Illinois, another great SICW event. That one ought to be a fun one, too, man. A lot of people on the card. I know you're looking forward to seeing those great fans in Collinsville.
Hey, excited. We're going to be there early doing autograph signings before the show. I mean, in both towns. So, yeah, I'm real excited about it. I wrestled a few times up through that country there, and it's beautiful country. And, yeah, I'm really excited about it. Of course, Herb Simmons, and big shout out to Herb Simmons and Bud Whitaker. They the ones that set it up, and just glad to be coming up that way, man.
That's awesome. And hey, not just next weekend, guys. Tommy's out there. He's burning the roads up. I mean, he's the very next weekend. We've been talking about it. But the following weekend, you're going to be right there in Mayfield, Illinois for Mayfield Mayhem. I'm sorry, I said Illinois. We're talking about Illinois. Kentucky. Get me straight here, Tommy. Mayfield, Kentucky. Mayfield Mayhem Pro Wrestling Entertainment. And you're not coming alone. You bring in dangerous Doug Gilbert of the Memphis Mafia, and that old rival, the man we're going to be talking about a lot on today's show, the King, Jerry Lawler, is going to be there too. There's no telling what's going to happen. You guys may get a hold, after we get to talking about all them things that happened in 1987, Tommy, you may be ready to get a hold of him again up there in Mayfield.
I love to jump on him and whoop his ass.
I'd shave his head again. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. You never know. But yeah, back in the day, there was a lot of animosity there, you might say. But now, hey, we've traveled our roads and everything.
Yeah.
And of course, Doug's a real good friend of Jerry's and everything. But I'm excited. Mayfield, Kentucky. I mean, it's going to be a big weekend of wrestling, period. We're going to be in Metropolis. So there's a lot of things going on the 11th, 12th, and 13th. So I'm pretty fired up about that. Doug will be back from his trip. I'd hope he'll be rested up. I can holler for him while he gets in there and kicks butt.
Yeah, there you go. You can clap for him in the corner, and you can do him like Ricky Morton did him up there in Corinth, Mississippi. You can make him carry the load in the ring, and you just get that tag at the end and come in clean house. But Metropolis, the big Superman festival. Of course, we've been talking about that here for a few weeks. That's going to be a lot of fun. And so, folks.
Hey, Jerry the King Lawler is going to be there too. I mean, and I can't wait to see him. I went to his house. I've said it a dozen times. I ain't been there but one time, but so give me something to brag about. But he loves the Marvel characters, and it's going to be a big show, Comic-Con, and he'll be like a kid in the candy store. So I'm excited about that. Through all these years, we finally come out, and we're pretty good friends. So I'm excited about the whole weekend. Big shout out to Jason and all the folks there in Mayfield, Kentucky. It's going to be a big night of wrestling. Plus, we'll be there signing autographs. So that's going to be a big night. Then we go to Metropolis Friday and Saturday. And, Lord, ain't no telling what'll happen there.
Well, folks, don't miss it. Plenty of chances to see Wildfire and see Doug Gilbert coming up real soon. So make sure you get out to one or all of those shows. Why not? But talking about Jerry the King Lawler, you guys are in a pretty good place right now. But it's a time that you weren't in a good place with Jerry Lawler. It was 1987. So in 1987, I'm 10 years old, and I'm glued to my TV, Tommy, as when this first started, it started out kind of innocently enough. You came out on Memphis television and you asked Lance Russell, why is Jerry Lawler getting the next shot at AWA World Champion Nick Bockwinkel? He's coming back to town. Lawler's been getting all these shots over the years at Nick Bockwinkel, but yet you're the man who is a former world champion. You're the man that had beat Harley Race. You had proven you could be a world champion, but here's Jerry Lawler getting a shot at the AWA World title. You weren't too happy about it at the time.
And I'm still not today. Ain't many people say they was a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion when the NWA was the NWA. I mean, there's no such thing as NWA now. I mean, they folks that claim to be or whatever. Yeah. But NWA was something you made you proud. So, and especially to be in a list of those that won the NWA World Heavyweight title when wrestling, was wrestling. It's an honor. And yeah, so, I mean, and back in the day, and we took everything pretty serious back then too. So I was probably a little PO'd about, not getting a shot instead of Lawler for real,
Yeah, and that puts you in elite company being a former NWA World Champion, and especially a man that beat Harley Race. But, man, if you would have turned around and had an opportunity to beat Nick Bockwinkel and be an NWA and AWA World Champion, that was very, very rare at the time. There was a very short list of anybody that had accomplished that. So I understood why you were upset. Even as a young fan who, was a big fan of both of you guys, even as a 10-year-old kid, I'm like, I kind of get why Tommy's upset. He ought to be getting a shot at Nick Bockwinkel. What's going on here? But as it unfolds, we'll see. We'll see if I keep that line of thinking as a kid back then. You have a match with Big Bubba, of course. Big Bubba, for those that are unaware, that's Big Fred Ottman, who went on to be Tugboat and Typhoon, and my goodness, he's been Shockmaster. He's had a whole array of different personas over the years. But at the time, he was just starting out.
The man of faces. But hey, Tugboat though, you talk about cool people. I mean, he great big fella. But yeah, and, and just cause of that, I guess. But you talk about just a good of gold person. He was a real nice fella.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to meet Fred a few times, and what a great guy. But, like I say, this was really early in his career. He was probably maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years in. Probably not quite 2 years, though. So, he's a big guy. That's, I'm sure that's a tall order to get in there and work with a guy who's still green, as they say. And he was having good matches there in Memphis. And you hit him with a Thez press off the second rope. You've got the match won. And downtown Bruno comes in. He hits you with a chain. Lawler comes in to help you out, and even the score, but the ref comes too. He sees Lawler in the ring, and he disqualifies you. And you weren't happy about it.
Well, say Lawler was looking for that number one spot. He couldn't get it. He was the king, but he had to come down and mess around in my match. That's what he was notorious for, though, is doing stuff like that.
Well, you even the odds, Tommy, because later in the night, Lawler's wrestling the Great Kabuki, and somehow you end up on the apron. Lawler bumps into you, knocks you off the apron. He ends up getting pinned by the Great Kabuki, and now you guys are sure enough crossed by this point. He's cost you a match. You've cost him a match. But you guys are not happy.
I had a concussion. I don't even know how I ended up back down there. He made a point to be interfering in my match.
Right.
But mine, I'd hit my head earlier in that match, and I was concussed.
Well, that makes sense. You didn't even know where you was. You didn't know you was interfering or causing any problems. So,
no, not by no means.
So just to kind of put a timestamp on this, I said 87, but right now we're in December of 1986. So coming out of that, like I say, you get disqualified against Big Bubba. Jerry Lawler gets pinned by the Great Kabuki on December 15th, 1986. So on December 22nd, 3 days before Christmas, you and Jerry Lawler fight to a double count out there at the Mid-South Coliseum. We've talked about what a big deal, wrestling around the holidays is and the various territories and everything. And so Memphis didn't always run on Christmas Day like they did in Georgia and some of the other territories, because if it didn't fall on Monday night, then it didn't fall on the night that you ran the Coliseum. It was just wherever the chips landed, right?
Yeah.
So you guys fight to a double count out on the 22nd. Then on December the 29th, Jerry Lawler defeats you. 26 minutes, 29 seconds there at the Mid-South Coliseum to ensure that he gets his title shot on January the 4th. They go to a 60-minute time limit draw. So once again, King doesn't win the AWA title. You didn't get your shot.
I'm going to tell you something. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
A lot of respect there, because Nick Bockwinkel, I say Harley Race was the best. Nick Bockwinkel, he was another ring general. And that's what impressed me, because Nick Bockwinkel, he would work different with everybody he worked with, like Ric Flair and other folks. You had to have the same match he'd have with you, me, or anybody else.
Right.
Nick Bockwinkel and Harley Race, they would have your kind of match, the psychology and everything. And but Nick Bockwinkel, and what a gentleman he was. And I watched that whole match too. And what a hell of a match they had. I mean, right there in Memphis, of course, Jerry was on fire. But Nick Bockwinkel, they respected him and knew what a wrestler he was. So it was a heck of a match.
I don't think people talk about Nick Bockwinkel enough about what a great champion he was. Some people do, but I don't think like younger people and some of the Main Street audiences are familiar with Nick Bockwinkel so much as they are maybe Harley and especially Flair and people like that. But man, I've seen Nick Bockwinkel just have some amazing matches in Memphis over the years and the AWA.
But and the thing about Nick, I mean, I wrestled him. Nick, he was most of the AWA up north, and that's why nobody in the South really realizes.
Yeah.
But I went up and wrestled for Fern Gagne a few times, and he just was in charge, man. And he come to Georgia, and I wrestled him a few times there in Georgia, because he was the champion, and of course, I was the hot baby face, and I had the opportunity to wrestle him, man. Nothing but respect for him.
Yeah, I mean, he carried himself like a champion. He was so good in promos, and he wore the suits. And, you know, when you think world champion, like you kind of picture a guy like Nick Bockwinkel. And he kind of had that arrogance. He kind of talked down to the fans in the promos, but it was subtle. It wasn't over the top. It was just enough to kind of grate
you. Guy, and most of the guys he was just real gentlemanly. You know, he pissed you off just being quiet, you know, yeah.
So I want to ask, you know, I know a lot of territories you hear back in the day, bookers would lay out programs and they might come to you and go, hey, Tommy, this is our plan for the next 3 months, 4 months, whatever. But Memphis by nature, with the weekly territory and everything's built around Monday night and the other towns kind of, you know, play off of that. How far out were we planning stuff? So like when this angle starts with you and Lawler and kind of the subtle, you do that promo and then we start building it. What did they tell you in the beginning? Like, did they know how far out all this was going to go, or are they just going to kind of play it by ear and see how things go?
Well, I mean, like you said, every territory is a week-to-week territory. And like Ole Anderson, he had a game plan for 4 weeks away. But a lot of times in Memphis, it was like a weekly territory. You know, you didn't know what was happening next and didn't know the boys either. I mean, it was you know, I mean, they had a plan, but as far as knowing what the angles are going to be, you know, they'd like to come up with that Monday night in Memphis. You know, well, we're going to go this way, so let's do this. You know, I mean, it wasn't like Saturday TV. You knew what was happening Monday in Memphis, you know, and the whole thing cycled off of Memphis too. So, yeah, Memphis was different, yeah.
So in the same night, on January the 11th, you defeat Jerry Lawler by disqualification. Your match goes about 11 minutes. And on the same card, Lawler beats Austin Idol by disqualification in a match that goes a little under 3 minutes. So, you know, I'm sure there's stuff on TV that kind of builds that up. I don't really have that in front of me here, but this is where you and Idol intersect and you guys kind of become associated here. You had worked with the Idol in Georgia and different places. How did you feel about getting paired up with Austin Idol here?
That was a big task. A lot to ask of a man. Excuse me. No, but hey, Austin's a rare breed, you know. And like I met him, like you said, he was in Georgia, and of course, he did the deal with my leg and put the figure 4 on and Harley. We did a lot of stuff to get, you know, like that. And he was a heel. But that was good. And so I was excited because, you know, I mean, you look at Austin Idol and go way back when he first started. And, you know, he was Mike McCord.
Right.
You know, and was in that plane crash, ripped by, you know, and back then he weighed about 270, 280, was pumped up. And, you know, it ripped the bottom of his feet off. He'd come back. Hell, you didn't even recognize him.
Yeah.
He'd come back because he lost so much weight and had the blonde hair and just the whole 9 yards. So I knew a lot about Idol before he got, you know, I met him in Georgia, but I knew the history of him before then, you know, because I'm not sure if kids today know the history of wrestling, but I like to know what was going on. And like we talk about, you know, the Fargos or Don and Al Green or the interns and Dr. Clemens. And, you know, that's the history of the business. So to me, it's hard. If you don't know that, then what are you doing, you know? So, but I always went, you know, watch wrestling when I was a kid. Me and my dad would go. So, but it was all good to me, and I got the opportunity to get in the business and to get in there and you know, first off, be with Jerry the King Lawler, and then, you know, like I said, me and Austin did the thing to lead into my Harley deal in Georgia, and Austin was always nice to me. I mean, you'll hear people have bad stories about it, and I know that's pretty much true too. You know? But he was always decent to me. And so, especially, you know, back then, it was about putting butts in the seats, and that's how we got paid. So he was a good shot in the arm, you know. So and we did good business. I mean, we did really good business.
So, yeah, the first tag team match here, February 16th, 1987. And this is fun. This is like such a Memphis thing to happen here. So, Lawler and Nick Bockwinkel, you know, they feuded for years. Lawler's been going for the AWA World title. But now he's gotten crossed with you and Austin Idol. He needs a partner. So, Jerry Lawler and Nick Bockwinkel team up to take on Austin Idol and Tommy Rich here on February the 16th. Match goes to a disqualification. Lawler and Bockwinkel get a win here. But that's a fun tag team match, you know, seeing Lawler, because you got that whole, you know, angle of, all right, will Lawler and Bockwinkel get along? Is Bockwinkel just going to straight up turn on Lawler? What's going to happen? So the fans have even more reason to come down here to see this match on Monday night, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that was probably so slap out, too. You know, like I say, a lot of people didn't know Bockwinkel, but they had respect for him, especially after seeing Lawler wrestle him, because the way he handled himself. And Lawler could do one of the best promos. I mean, so I'm sure that all factored in and everything. But and I remember the match. We had a heck of a match too.
Yeah, I remember seeing highlights of it back in the day and thinking, man, I wish I could have went and seen that. You know, I was living just below Tupelo back then, and I couldn't get my parents to take me all the way to Memphis on a Monday night, so I just got to see the highlights. But then, you know, a week later when the Tupelo show, or when the TV show aired in Tupelo, it was usually highlights, like you would see sometimes whole matches, but at least, you know, significant highlights from the previous Monday night's show. So I remember getting to see a good chunk of that match on the Tupelo version, and it was a really good match. And so the following week, you're not there. I don't know I can't remember if they did it, you know, any kind of injury angle at the end of the other match. But the next week is Jerry Lawler and Nick Bockwinkel, and they defeat Austin Idol and Lord Humongous. And this is actually Sid Vicious' debut in wrestling. This was his Sid Vicious, for people who don't know this, the first actual match he ever had in his life was in a main event in Memphis, tagging with Austin Idol against Jerry Lawler and Nick Bockwinkel. What a spot to be put in, right?
Yeah, but that was one of Lawler's projects with Sid Vicious. I mean, and what the hell? I mean, he created a monster too.
Whew, yeah, in more ways than one. But
yeah, but hell, that drew real good too. I mean, that's one thing about Jerry Lawler. He knew how to do business, and I know he met, I don't know if Sid come and met him or what, but Lawler was good at just taking people and making them something.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely was able to see things in people that perhaps other people weren't able to see. So by 1987, now you did have that heel run in early 80s Memphis when you're a huge babyface in Georgia, and then you come back to Memphis and they turn you heel, which wasn't popular with a lot of people. But by 87, are you pretty, like, do you like being a heel? Are you pretty comfortable with it by then? Are you settling into it? Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com. And to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to uswapodcast.com.
Well, I got to live the best sides of both lives. You know, I mean, in Georgia, I was a big baby face and everything, and which I love that. Baby face is my thing. But it was cool to go back to Memphis. Like, I'd have my run in Georgia, and then and like other guys, they'd travel from here to Louisiana. You know, they had to go around the loop, where I was blessed, and like I'd have a run in Georgia and then go back to Tennessee. And I was smart enough to know that they wasn't no number one baby face, and that was going to be Jerry the King Lawler.
Right.
So if I wanted to make money, that's who I had to wrestle. So plus I enjoyed being a heel too. I mean, it was fun to me after being a baby, and I seen some of the good heels, like there'd be heels, and I thought, dang, that's pretty cool too. So, it was a no-brainer for me that that was the way to go.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. If the owner, or one of the owners, I guess I should say, is the top babyface, there's no chance you can ever be the top babyface. So you might as well be the top heel because, you get to be the top heel against that top babyface. Now you can make some money. And boy, you guys sure did.
Yeah.
So the following week, March the 2nd, Austin Idol and Tommy Rich take on Jerry Lawler. And now last week, Austin Idol brought in a monster. This week, Jerry Lawler's brought in a monster. And I remember what a big deal this guy was around this time. Bam Bam Bigelow comes into Memphis. He's been there as a heel prior, and now he's coming in as Jerry Lawler's partner. And I just remember as a kid seeing this guy, you're used to seeing, 300 and 400 pound guys, and they wrestled like monsters. And, this guy's coming off the top rope. He's doing cartwheels. He's doing all those things you've never really seen a big man do. Drop kicks. Yeah. Just an amazing athlete. How was he to work with? Because he's still pretty fresh. He's pretty new here in 87. How was he to work with?
Oh, yeah, Bam Bam. God bless him. I mean, that's another one gone too soon, too. But, he was a dream. I mean, and I got to know him, and just another one that was a gentleman too. I mean, just a real nice fella. He happy-go-lucky, and so it was so easy. He was good. Law was good. Austin was good. You got four guys that can work. It ain't nothing but good.
Yeah, those matches really stand out. And you guys had you had a series of those matches. You had that tag match. You come back in a no time limit, no disqualification tag team match the following week. Eventually you guys do that. This is pretty wild. A 2-ring Texas death match where you've got a match going on in each ring at the same time. I don't know. Was stuff like that fun, or was it just like, what are we doing? Or I don't know. How did you feel about this kind of thing?
I mean, it's fun, but it's hard because it's something that ain't never been done, But you got, like if it's a heel, both heels got to be on top.
Yeah.
If it's a baby face, and both baby faces got to be on top. You can't have one thing going on over here and one thing going on over there. So it was a lot of extra thinking in it, but it was cool, man. I mean, because it's stuff that had never been done.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the kind of things people don't necessarily think about, the psychology of that, of the timing of that. You got to be aware of what these other two, you're all going at the same time, but you got to be aware of what they're doing over here, and they got to be aware of what you're doing over there, because like you said, if it doesn't sync up, then the crowd don't know what to do. But I know that's got to be crazy for the crowds. Like, well, what do we watch? Do we watch Tommy's beating up Bam Bam over here, or Idol's beating up Lawler over here? So you're kind of splitting their attention. So I guess that's kind of, you got to be aware of that as well.
And that's what you had to do. I mean, if any kind of match you have like that, you got to have, the rhyme and reason. So yeah, if I'm over here kicking your butt and they're over there kicking the other's butt, then it don't rhyme. But if me and Austin's kicking their butts, then it has a little rhythm, because it's hard. I can't pay attention like that. So yeah, you can't have them focused on one. You got to have them looking. So yeah, but it's just little stuff like that. And I was so lucky that, they knew how to handle it. And they taught me too.
So around this time, and I may have my timing off, we've gotten to go through different matches, but it don't matter. We're talking about all of it. Around this time, at one point, I think it's during this match, there's a singles match. Austin Idol versus Jerry Lawler, March 16th, 1987. It goes to a no contest. And I think one of the reasons why. At one match, you show up, and you guys end up ramming Jerry Lawler's crotch into the ring post, which was like people were like, oh, my God. It was... it was brutal. It wasn't something. I mean, that gets done now. People do it as a spot during the match, and the match just keeps going. But this was like Lawler went on a stretcher. Like it was a huge, huge thing when you guys did that to him, right?
Well, and back then, me and Austin, neither one probably liked him a whole lot. So we might have yanked him in a little stiffer than we should.
You got to trust some guys to say, "Hey guys, tonight, how about you feel about you ram my nuts into the ring post?" Like, woo! I mean, you got to make sure you've been paying guys right for the weeks leading up to that.
What about me and Bam Bam Bigelow and him doing it to me?
Well, we're going to get there in a moment too. Yeah, because that's the thing you had to consider. Like, hey, Austin, we can't kill him because I got to turn around and take this. So I guess that was what I was going to ask. When you guys did that to Lawler, did you know you were the one going to be taking it in return a couple of weeks later, or was that not discussed?
Well, I mean, sort of. I had a trip to Japan.
Okay.
They knew I was going to Japan, so. But there again, I mean, Lawler sold the heck out of it. And that's the way we used to do the stuff where people, if they don't believe what you're doing, then and Lawler, anything, I mean, even like him and Andy Kaufman, the stuff they did, people believed it because they sold it.
Well, speaking of that, maybe you can confirm this for us here. So after you guys crotched Lawler into the ring post, there's footage of him at the hospital going back, having surgery. But there's a reason for that. It wasn't because you guys rammed his crotch into the ring post too hard. He had something else going on at the time, right? The word is he had a vasectomy, either got a vasectomy or he was having one reversed. Is there any truth to that, or are you going to plead the fifth on that one?
I ain't going to plead the fifth or nothing. I don't know nothing about his downstairs. You might ask Doug. I don't know.
I mean, that's what I've always been told is like the reason he chose to have y'all do that is because he knew he was going into the hospital to do, to have that procedure done.
That makes sense.
They could shoot him going in, shoot him coming out, and be like, oh my gosh, they put him in the hospital.
I mean, he was a firm believer in all of that. I mean, selling what you did. I mean, and no matter whether I liked him or not, he was. I mean, as far as business, he was very good with business.
Absolutely. So yes, so you guys, you crotch him in the post. He takes a couple of weeks off to sell it, and because he has his procedure done, whatever. Well, I think he's got it reversed. I think he actually was getting it, but anyway, whatever. That's his business. So then. You guys come back in a tag match, and as you pointed out, now Lawler and Bigelow run you into the ring post. Now, I might have talked over you before. Now, how was that? Would you wear a cup that night or something, or were you just hoping they didn't kill you?
No, I mean, it looked vicious. I remember doing it, and I was a little scared. I ain't gonna tell you I wasn't scared because me and Austin had done Lawler, and it don't take a whole lot to mess that up.
Oh yeah.
I was a little nervous, but I was in, good hands. I mean, it was all about business. And like I said, I had a trip to Japan. I was gone, I think, for 2 or 3, 4 weeks, something like that. And then when I come back, we did the big thing. But Lawler, he's strictly a businessman. I mean, and back then, you didn't want to hurt nobody because you knew you had to work with them again. So we was all good.
I remember that to this day. I can remember as a kid seeing the video of that, and they run you in the post, and you crawl across the ring, and you try to stand up, and you kind of go in like a little semicircle, and you fall back down and cross your legs and just like bowed over. And I mean, I've always wondered. I was glad to hear that they didn't get you because I remember even as a kid, and then watching it, once I was kind of smart to things, I'm like, I think they got him because I mean Tommy can sell, but he's selling that hard. I think, but like you said, there's such a small margin of error there.
A little bit, they might have winded me.
Yeah, that's a tough one there. So from there, like you said, you had to sell it. Plus, you were already going to Japan. So now we've got Austin Idol versus Jerry Lawler in a singles match, April the 6th. We go to a double disqualification. Southern heavyweight title match. Austin defeats Jerry Lawler to win the title on April the 13th. Then we have the famous Southern heavyweight title chain match, April the 20th. And that's the one where Austin, Lawler's hooked to the chain. Austin's fighting it now. By now, Austin Idol has a manager. I don't think he came in until you were gone, but correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I know he ends up managing you when you get back, but Paul Heyman shows up, or as he was called then, Paul Dangerly. I don't know if that was just Lance Russell said his name wrong, or that's what he was called.
Paul E. Dangerously.
So he comes in, and now him and Austin Idol are arguing with the referee about hooking the chain to his wrist. And while they're doing that, unbeknownst to them, Lawler unhooks the chain and ties it to the rope and stands there so that when Idol finally hooks the chain to his wrist and he turns around, Lawler's free. He pulls the chain out of his tights, knocks Idol out. 1, 2, 3. He's the new champion. Now, I guess because everybody loved Lawler, it was fine. You kind of got screwed on a main event. It lasted like 6 seconds, and it wasn't really a match. But everybody was so happy that he stuck it to Idol. Everybody was thrilled, right? That's what they wanted to see.
Oh yeah. Well, Lawler and Idol also had a match. If Lawler lost, he got his head shaved, and if Austin lost, he give everybody's money back.
That's where we're getting to right now.
Okay,
we're building to that. So let's remind everybody.
Like I was there at the time when that happened, but I remember that was a big deal. You've been
running to the post, and now Tommy Rich is gone. He got hauled out on a stretcher. Tommy Rich is gone. We just assume he's gone for good. We don't know. There's not internet back then. Most of us didn't have dirt sheets, so we didn't know that Tommy was in Japan. We just thought Tommy, got rammed to the ring post, and now he's injured. So you're kind of out of sight, out of mind. We kind of forget about you that, you're around. And like you said, now.
And that's another reason the angles, if you know stuff like that, you can sell the stuff. You know, like you talk about Jerry going, he had to have his privates reworked or whatever. but he sold, so I mean, and that's the way the business used to be, and that was the mistake of it, whether people wanted to believe or not. When you see stuff like that and everybody disappears, because they do as well as I do. You're there every week because you don't get paid if you don't.
Right.
So that was the mistake to the business too.
So that leads to the rematch. Idol beat Lawler. Now Lawler beat Idol. He's champion again. So now we have booked a steel cage match. The Southern Heavyweight title is on the line, and it's hair versus hair. And Austin Idol goes so far as to say, if I don't beat Jerry Lawler, well, let me back up. Before I make this statement, let's lay out here why, to me, this is pure genius. And it's a way that really makes people want to go spend their money, because for years and years and years, people have been trying to shave Jerry Lawler's head. And he's had the deck stacked against him everywhere in the world. I mean, I remember people thought in the 70s when it was Jerry Lawler's hair versus Bill Dundee's wife Beverly's hair, people were like, they're not going to shave Dundee's wife's hair. Lawler's getting his head shaved. And then he didn't. And there was all these times where it was like, so finally people in Memphis were just like, all right, they're never going to shave Lawler's head. Whatever happens, whether this is legit or not, whatever, Lawler's never getting his head shaved. And then Idol goes on TV and says, if I don't beat Jerry Lawler and I don't shave his head, I will refund the money of every single fan Monday night at the Coliseum. And then people are like, holy shit, we're pretty sure Lawler's not going to get his head shaved. We can go to the wrestling for free because Lawler's going to win. Let's go. And you guys sell the place out because everybody thinks they're going to go watch not only Austin Idol lose, they're going to see Austin Idol get his head shaved. And then after they see a cage match and a head shaving, they're going to get all their money back. This is going to be great.
Well,
what they don't know is
the big deal about that is, because in different areas and different situations, a lot of times it'd be a hair versus hair match, and something happened, it wouldn't happen.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, get a twig cut out or something. But like you said, Lawler had never had his head shaved and been in situations like that, but scuffed out of it. You know what I mean? And so and like with Austin guaranteeing everybody's money back. They thought, well, whether he gets his head shaved or not, we gonna get our money back.
Exactly.
You know? So that
genius.
was a big deal. That was very smart thinking, very smart booking. You know, it wasn't hair versus hair. It was Lawler's hair versus getting their money back. You know, so that turned into something that was just unheard of.
Because we've talked about this on the show before. I know Doug brought up an angle at one point. There had been a couple of times where Memphis had kind of shot itself in the foot where they didn't deliver on some loser leave town, like with Lawler and Jimmy Valiant. There's a couple times they didn't deliver on hair stipulations, and people were starting to get a little salty, like, all right, sometimes they're going to tell us stuff and they're not going to make good on it. But in this situation, it was like, well, they can't not give us our money back if Lawler wins. So let's go, you know. But what they didn't know is somebody that they weren't expecting to be there got there in the middle of the afternoon and tell us about when you arrived at the Mid-South Coliseum on April 27th, 1987. Kind of walk us through your day of getting there and how you spent that day leading up to that match.
Yeah, you had to be a Superman to do what I did. But no, I just got back from Japan, and you know, when you go overseas like that, you get that jet lag coming back. So I was pretty dang tired anyway. We got there about 5 o'clock, maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock. And I'll never forget, Jerry, he said, we stopped on the way into Memphis, got me a 6-pack of beer, and got me one of them blow-up air mattresses you use in the pool. Not no air mattress you sleep on.
Right.
Just one of them you use in the pool. And so I got that. We get to the building. Randy West brings a little cart for his TV stuff out. He brings that out, throws a tarp over it. I get under it with my little air mattress and my 6-pack of beer. And security, I don't even believe was there quite yet. Right. But anyway, he pushed me down the ring, and I crawl out under there and got my little 6-pack of beer and my air mattress. I get under there, I blow it up, lay there for a minute or two. Of course, I was blown up for blowing that air mattress up anyway. I drink me a beer, and I lay on that air mattress, and I fall asleep. I wake up, gotta pee. Well, wasn't nowhere to pee under there, so I pee in the can. You know, I peed in the can. And so anyway, that went on. Like I'm there at 4:35, the match started at 8, and we're on like the main event. So I'm under that ring for like, even at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 5 hours under that ring.
Oh, and, my God.
And like I'd drink a beer, pee in the can, and I'd lay back on the mattress and I'd go to sleep. Thank God I had jet lag. And, you know, so anyway, the first thing I remember is that Memphis ring. You remember how loud it was?
Yes.
So I'm laid on that air mattress asleep. And all of a sudden they get in the ring and somebody backdrops somebody or something. It went kaboom, and I raised up, hit my head on the bottom of the ring, and thought, oh my God, where am I at? And then of course I registered with me where I was at. But that was quiet.
If you've never been under a wrestling ring, an average ring is pretty darn loud when somebody takes a bump in there and you're underneath it. It's pretty loud. But like you said, that Memphis ring was exceptionally loud. So that's one of the things that's always stood out to me. The first time I heard this story was, I can't imagine being under there through the whole card. They're the last match, and listening to that bump after bump after bump through all the matches. I can't imagine what kind of a headache you must have had. I mean, I know you had a few beers, but still, whoo, that's a long night, dude. You earned your pay that night, sir. That was
I probably earned a little more.
Yeah, you probably still owed a little more. You might want to talk to Jerry about that.
It was good for me at the time, but I probably earned a little more. Should have earned a little more.
I want to hit him up in Mayfield and go, hey, man, I've been talking about this and thinking about it. we need to revisit that April 87 deal. So you're under the ring, and like I said, people think, all right, well, it's a cage match. Lawler's probably going to win no matter what, because what's Idol going to do? He's in a cage. His buddy, Paulie dangerously, he can't interfere.
That was the first time ever a cage like that on the floor. Instead of being mounted around the ring, it was set on the floor. It was 20 foot high. I mean, that was another first too. I mean, they were creative in Memphis. That's for damn sure.
So that's a fun fact you bring up there. So people remember the quote Hell in the Cell cage from the WWF, and it had two interesting factors to it. One, it surrounded ringside. It didn't just go, like you say, it didn't attach the ring. It covered the entire ringside, and it had a roof on it. Well, this cage didn't have a roof on it, but you were in the first cage to ever have a roof on it. Last Battle of Atlanta, we've talked about that here, the match with Buzz Sawyer. But then the first match to surround ringside in Memphis was this cage. You're involved in that too, so you are like embedded in the history of the Hell in the Cell.
Hell, you ain't lying.
You're like Mr. Hell in the Cell.
I thought about that, but you're right.
So yeah, so the cage is surrounding ringside, and so when did you know it was time to come out and do your thing?
Paulie was supposed to let me know, but it was hard because I could see out the ring. But actually, just the response from the people when Lawler got beat, you knew it was time. Or when Lawler beat Idol, the people popped, and you knew it was time.
Yeah. So you've got an arena full of people who, most of them are all just fans who don't know any better. So they think cage match, Lawler's going to beat Idol. I'm getting this money back. They probably had plans for that money already. Probably some of them needed it for gas to get home. Other people who thought they were smart thought, yeah, they're not going to refund. They're not going to beat Lawler. Lawler's not going to let him shave his head. So they're going to refund our money tonight just, because Lawler's not going to lose. So the heat you guys got.
Bottom line is, though, they knew it was going to be a good night either way.
Yes.
They were going to get their money back watching 7-8 matches of wrestling, or they was going to get to see Jerry Lawler finally get his head shaved. I mean, it was either or, but either way, it was a winning situation for the fans. You couldn't have hyped that stuff no better.
No, and so they got both. They get, they're either mad because their hero's getting his head shaved, or they're mad because they're not getting their money back, or both, which is the case. And this was probably the most heated the Memphis crowd had got in many, many years, and it looked like you guys might not make it out of the cage that night. It got pretty serious, right?
Oh, I come out from underneath that ring and pile drive Jerry Lawler. And then people, they knew, they said, oh, it's over now. When they see it, whether they thought they was getting their money back or not, they knew Lawler was get his head shaved no matter what. And, I come up in that ring and I'll never forget. I mean, I used to go when I was a kid and watching matches like Don and Al Green and Tojo. I seen them guys I knew what heat, I see guys that go out and they get a little heat, but you talk about just that calm and heat that people go, or just get real quiet. I've seen that a few times, but I didn't realize what it was. And when we did that pile drive Lawler in Austin and beat him 1, 2, 3, it was like they thought, heck with my money back, we want to kill Tommy Rich.
Yeah.
And it took us. I mean, they got the 3 count, and I scooted back out of the ring. But it ain't nothing. I've seen heat before, but ain't no heat like that I ever seen. We of course, we shaved Lawler's head, but it took us 30 minutes to get out of the ring. I mean, the one kid tried to climb up and get over the top, and bless his heart, he probably wished he'd got in, because me and Mike up there as bad as the police did.
Yeah.
Dogs, they got up. But we had to stay in the ring for about 30 minutes and wait for extra police to get there. So they built like a little barricade. They just lined up and told us to run. I said, run. I looked around. Hell, he was already in the bag, and I was still standing there. Yeah, and he wasn't very fast either. But
No.
yeah, but that was some scary heat. And then when we went out back, I mean, they wanted to kill us. They was throwing shit. I mean, it was a lot of heat.
Yeah, so that's what like younger fans may not understand now, because like, you know, things happen on wrestling now. John Cena turns heel on Cody and everybody's mad. But then when they go out back, if they knew where John Cena was parked, they're not going to go wait by his car. But like, these people are still mad when they leave the Coliseum. They're still mad. They still want to get their hands on Tommy Rich and Austin Idol to some degree, but mostly you're the guy that showed up and threw a monkey wrench in things. So if they see Tommy Rich in the parking lot, they want to kill him. If they see Tommy Rich at the gas station down the road, they're still mad, literally mad. So, I mean, man, that's a tough situation to be in.
I didn't stop until I got out of town.
I bet.
Yeah. Usually we had our little beer stop, but yeah, that night we didn't stop. We went on.
Like, keep on trucking, Tommy. Wow. Yeah, that was a big moment in Memphis history. And I remember as a kid watching that, just being just completely floored by it, because, you know, I was not expecting you to show back up, and certainly didn't expect Lawler to get his head shaved. But, you know, a lot of people just remember that as being
that we say that, because I think I went to Japan for 4 weeks, because that let people just kind of forgot about me. I think you're right about that. It must have been 4 weeks.
Yeah, that match where they rammed you into the post was back on March 23rd, and you don't show up until April 27th. So it had been over a month since which is a lifetime in Memphis when you're doing weekly shows. Oh,
yeah, weekly, yeah.
So a lot of people think, you know, they hear that story, you know, they watch the compilation of it, like, all right, well, that's how that ends. Well, no, you're off to the races. I mean, this angle has gone on since December, but really we're just getting cooking, because now the heat is on. So it continues from there. Now Bill Dundee and Jerry Lawler wrestle you in Moondog Spot the following week in May. And then you wrestle Lawler in singles matches. Eventually, you guys have the Las Vegas Roulette First Blood match where you and Idol beat Dundee and Lawler. You know, it goes on from there until June. So this angle starts in December 1986. June 15th, 1987, that's when we climb the scaffold. And we've talked about that a little bit here. People have asked about it in Q&As and things, but you know, I feel like we need to kind of touch on it again here. And I know you kind of mentioned it. It came up recently. And, you know, it's not like they came to go, hey, how would you feel about, hey, Tommy, would you be willing to do a scaffold match? It's just like you come in like, hey, we're doing a scaffold match. Like, it's already booked. It's already being advertised. And now you're just in a scaffold match.
It was already booked before I was even doing anything about it, let alone ask me about it. Yeah, it was already booked. They didn't ask me nothing.
So when they tell you there's going to be a scaffold match, was there a moment where you and Idol look at each other and you're like, wonder who's winning?
I tell you what, because I told him, I said, I mean, I'll do anything in the world, you know, as far as the wrestling business. But my wife used to clean the gutters at my house. Yeah, heights ain't never been one of my things. You know, kids used to love to climb trees. I wasn't never a tree climber either, you know. So when they told me, I told Jerry, I told him, I said, well, I'm going to tell you what, Jerry. I said, I don't want to do it. I said, I ain't standing up. And then we got to that Memphis Coliseum that Monday night. And, of course, Memphis Coliseum, the ring stood up off the floor about 4 foot.
Yeah.
Then the scaffold was 20 foot off of that. So you 24 foot up, you know. You stand up on it, which I never stood up, but I could look at the nosebleed section. Everybody, usually if you're ringside, that's the best seat.
Yeah.
That night, the best seat was up there looking in the nosebleed section, because you're about level with it. And, you know, we had the match, and of course, Lawler was all right on it, but Bill Dundee, he got up there. Of course, he used to do scaffold work in Australia and stuff. And he got up there and was jumping and shaking that stuff around. Austin stood up. I never did, and me and Austin both climbed about halfway down before we got knocked off. Yeah, they wanted us, you broke your leg, your arm, your neck, whatever. That was a high scaffold. Then we did one in Louisville, Kentucky, the same thing. And they, of course, we just did that twice, and they decided that wasn't very good. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen, you can go, so it's on YouTube. You can go watch this match, and if you look at the other scaffold matches that people did, I swear, I think the scaffold you guys were on is probably the tallest one. I can't think of another one that looked nearly as high as the one you guys were on. It's insane how tall that one was.
Oh, and I'm telling you, I mean, not that I'm not a scared person, but it takes a lot to scare me. But I was scared to death.
Well, I mean, that's life and death stuff. I mean, most any other wrestling match, if you know what you're doing and the guy you're in there with knows what he's doing, there's an element of danger to it, of course. But, usually just getting hurt, your life's not necessarily in danger on the average. But, I mean, one wrong move or that scaffold's not set up correctly, I mean, it could be a disaster. I mean, those matches, when you look back on them now, you're like, how did these even happen? Like, whose idea was it to do these damn things? And how did so many of them take place? And honestly, the spectacle of them was a big deal. And I remember as a kid wanting to see them, but I mean, all of them were the shits because nobody was going to get up there and do moves on them.
You talk about, I mean, like people talk about Memphis wrestling, but they were a lot of the originating stuff come out of Memphis that everybody followed doing,
Yeah.
The scaffold matches. I mean, Crockett used to do it, but it all started in Memphis. The cage on the floor started in Memphis. I mean, so it was Memphis was, back in the day, they thought about it crazy, but that was a trendsetter. They seen the future and did what people wanted to see.
Now, there's another interesting story that comes out of this match that's gone around for years. And, you guys weren't excited about going up there, but you got up there. But rumor has it, night of the show, and once you get out there and see it, Paul Heyman's like, no, not going up there. Because famously, in 86, a few months ahead of this, Cornette went off the one at Starrcade with the Road Warriors. So I'm sure Lawler thought, all right, well, Paulie Dangerously is going to go off this thing. Tommy and Austin, they can go halfway down. We'll get by with that. But we're going to throw Heyman off the middle of this damn thing. And if he dies, he dies. He's like Ivan Drago. It's like, well, if he dies, he dies, whatever. And so Heyman, he didn't get up there, did he? Wasn't that like a pretty big point of contention with him and Lawler? And that's kind of what ended his time in Memphis, was them wanting him to go up this scaffold?
Hey, that's a good question. I don't remember. I know he didn't go up there. I can tell you that.
And Lawler says that at Heyman's last show that it's a fact that Lawler punched him and ended up breaking Heyman's jaw. But he's, for years, people, pondered whether that was an accident or not. And then one of these WWE question things, like they asked Lawler, and he's like, yeah, I broke his jaw on purpose or whatever. And I don't know if he really broke his jaw. I'm sure that's an exaggeration, but he clocked him good and fired him. But I could just imagine, Paul Heyman falling off a scaffold. That would have been
had been ugly.
The sight. And probably might have been the end of his time in wrestling. He might have been in a wheelchair after that, because I promise you that scaffold was way higher.
Dude.
No.
I said it'd be ugly if I fell off it.
Oh man, can you imagine?
It was so high, yeah.
Poor Bobby.
I wouldn't have wished falling off that thing to my worst enemy.
I mean, Bobby Eaton dropped from the middle of that thing, and from what I understand, did some damage to his knee and everything.
Yeah,
but
as
high as that one you were on, if you
fall, that ain't no way you can fall that far and not hurt yourself.
No, definitely not. There's no good way to do it. You come down on your knees, you're gonna screw your knees up. You can't fall on your back from that high. My God,
you can't hit and roll. I mean, you got to come down. There ain't no option.
Cornette's story has always been that Dusty sold him on it, that Big Bubba Rogers, Ray Traylor, was going to catch him when he when he fell, and Bubba's standing there and he kind of steps back, but And that's always been his story, is that Bubba lost him in the lights and didn't catch him. But I'm like, it would have killed both of them if he'd have tried to catch him.
Yeah.
But he said Dusty told him that he'll catch you like the cheerleaders catch the cheerleaders at the football game. And it didn't work out that way. But I'm glad you guys didn't go out there and get yourselves killed on that scaffold. But, man, what a memorable feud. 1987. It started in December and went all the way, into June, halfway through the year. And, man, I'm not asking you for dollar amounts, but I'm assuming this probably, paid well and it was, probably one of your more substantial Memphis angles of all time, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it had to be, especially the hair. That's probably the best angle it was ever done. I mean, me coming out from under the cage as far as money wise, because it was a win-win situation. Like you said, people thought they got screwed on certain things where the guy might have had to lose or leave town, pull his mask off, and that didn't happen, or, just different situations. But this was like a guarantee that you either going to get your money back or you're going to see Lawler get his head shaved. And I think, like you said, it was sold out. And the people was guaranteed to see something.
And they did. It wasn't what they expected, but they certainly did.
Might have been not what they thought, but they even got an extra bonus in that one.
Well, they sure did. Well, man, this has been fun going back, reliving that. Like I said, I was 10 years old at the time, watching Memphis wrestling, glued to the TV each and every week, seeing how this unfolded. And, man, if you'd have told me back then when I was a kid, hey, one day you'll get to sit with Tommy Rich and sit and ask him all the questions you want to ask about this whole thing, I wouldn't believe them. So it was really cool, get an opportunity to talk about it. And I'm glad you have such fond memories of this stuff. You talk to some, you hear some of those guys are like, oh, it was all just a job, man. And it was, it's your job and you make money.
What's cool, G, what makes this show the show, you got the history and you know the right questions, because a lot of that stuff's a blur to me now, so like, and you point me in that direction and it brings back the old memories and the things that happened. So it's always good. It's always a pleasure because it's always good stuff. Ain't nothing negativity and it's just, hey, I love doing this show, man, and it's the whole package. I hate Doug, he ain't here, but we got a minute for us to see if we can do it too, So it's been a cool show, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you doing it. I love doing this show every week. Like I said, it's questions that I've wanted to ask for years, and now I get a chance to. And I know that's why the fans enjoy listening to it, because I feel like these are the questions they would ask you if they had the opportunity, and then they do get the opportunity because they send them in, and then you guys answer those questions as well. So appreciate you guys doing this show each and every week, and I know your fans enjoy it, and we're going to keep this thing going. And Doug is not going to be with us next week. He's just going to be getting back into town.
Hey, ladies, gentlemen, kids and girls, hey, peace out.
From title belts to Hall of Fame, Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans want to know.